Hello, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the Innovation Prize session. I hope the call is doing well. It's not too bad. A few remarks about the Innovation Prize. Since 2014, the Yale chapter of the International Society of Tropical Foresters has awarded an Innovation Prize at its annual conference to honor outstanding initiatives and ideas related to tropical forest use and conservation. We received this year several applications, and we selected 2 finalists who are presenting with us today. They are going to share with us their exceptional work, which is related to this year's theme, envisioning the future of tropical forests, the role of feedbacks, interconnectedness, and adaptation. So it's an honor for me to present Sandra Vásquez, Executive Director of ProEco Azuero, Panama, and from India, Rinchui Raman, representing the Rainforest Biodiversity of Phalee and the Phalee Biodiversity Management Committee. She's going to join us by Zoom. There's going to be a voting, so everyone attending the conference will be able to vote for one of these 2 projects. The voting will open after the session finishes, and the 2 finalists will receive prizes of $3,000 and $1,000 respectively. The voting will close tomorrow at noon, tomorrow Saturday, and the awards will be announced in the closing plenary tomorrow at 2 p.m. So now I would like to start with Sandra. We are going to first share a video of her work, and then you're welcome to present us. Thank you, and enjoy the session.
Fundación ProEco Azuero es una ONG ambiental basada en la península de Azuero, en Panamá. Nos dedicamos a todo lo que es restauración de hábitat, manejo sostenible de tierras y educación ambiental. Estamos tratando de restaurar el hábitat del mono araña de Azuero, reforestando estratégicamente un corredor ecológico de 80 kilómetros de largo que atraviesa la provincia de Los Santos, con una zona de amortiguamiento de 10 kilómetros a cada lado. Este corredor está basado en el hábitat del mono araña de Azuero. Es una especie endémica y en peligro crítico de extinción. Nuestro programa de reforestación es directamente con los dueños de fincas o ganaderos del área. Reforestamos con especies nativas y frutales para aumentar la productividad de sus fincas y atraer a la biodiversidad. Iniciamos desde la colección de semillas. Hacemos giras para encontrar las semillas más sanas de los bosques más saludables de Azuero, produciendo especies boutiques como el cocobolo, balso, entre otras, que son bastante escasas aquí en la región. Reforestamos estratégicamente y luego monitoreamos por 5 años. Nuestro proceso de monitoreo es bien minucioso. Consiste en darle a cada árbol plantado un código de identidad. Monitoreamos 2 veces al año, usando un sistema de georreferencia submétrica, y nos apoyamos en todas las tecnologías de Esri Panamá. En muchas de las comunidades con las que nosotros trabajamos, logramos crear comités ambientales, quienes son aliados estratégicos para el desarrollo de nuestros proyectos. Creamos una asociación de ecoartesanos de Azuero. Este programa nos ha ayudado para rescatar las plantas artesanales que ya no crecían aquí en la región. La iniciativa escolar del mono araña actualmente la estamos implementando en 20 escuelas en Los Santos, dura 3 años y cada año les damos a los estudiantes un currículo de educación ambiental para que luego ellos sean los agentes de cambio en sus propios hogares. Estamos educando a esta generación porque creemos que son ellos los futuros líderes y los futuros dueños de las tierras aquí en Azuero y quienes van a realmente lograr el cambio que queremos ver en Azuero. Trabajando con jóvenes, niños, estudiantes, adultos, artesanos, dueños de fincas, ganaderos, es como realmente estamos logrando ver un cambio en Azuero. Pero nuestra verdadera meta es lograr un movimiento verde sostenible aquí en nuestra región. Nuestro momento de actuar es ahora.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Sandra Vásquez, and I am the Executive Director of ProEco Azuero. It is an honor to be here and to share our work in our little corner of the world. Just to give you a little bit of context, when we think about Panama, we think about beautiful beaches, lush jungle, biodiversity, and all of that is true. But the Azuero Peninsula is one of the most deforested parts of Panama, and Azuerenses are considered to be the cowboys of Panama. The agrarian culture is embedded in their roots. You can see it in the way they dress, their hobbies, their music, even the trucks that they drive. And unsustainable land practices like slash and burn, repair and deforestation, heavy use of pesticides have been around for decades. I know this for a fact. I married one of these cowboys. Now, he is a proud organic permaculture farmer, but this took years in the making. Oh. Is there, oh, there, no, yeah. Although it was once largely tropical dry forest, today only 8% of the native forests remain in the Azuero Peninsula. The Azuero Peninsula is part of the Central American Dry Corridor, and this part of Panama is called the dry arc, meaning that we get little to no rain for 4 to 6 months a year, at least. And even in the rainy season, we get much less rain than the rest of the country. Some statistics of the Central American Dry Corridor that we know is that 3.5 million people are in need of humanitarian assistance. And there has been 50 to 90% loss of crop harvest in the last years. The Director General of the FAO said that more than half of the 10 million people living in the area are engaged in agricultural activities, and more than 73% of the rural population lives in poverty, with 7.1 million being severely food insecure. Although these numbers are not as drastic in Panama, if we don't start building climate resilience in the vulnerable communities right now, it's going to be too late. The Azuero spider monkey is an endemic and critically endangered subspecies. It is our indicator and guiding symbol. The average home range needed by the Azuero spider monkey is 95 to 390 hectares, but the average patch of forest in Azuero is 47.7 hectares. In the face of droughts, residents of Azuero have turned to even more harmful agricultural practices, getting rid of their live fences for more cattle grazing space, heavy use of pesticides, extensive cattle grazing, repair and deforestation, and all of this has led to soil degradation, waterway contamination, and groundwater salinity. River levels have been severely reduced in the past years, causing exportation crops such as melon and watermelon, as well as farmers to migrate to other parts of the country. the younger generation of landowners have decided to leave the Azuero region and look for jobs in the mayor cities. A lot of land has been abandoned in Azuero, and we're suffering a loss of talent and brain power because of the lack of alternative ways to generate income. Each year, cattle farmers, especially low-scale farmers, suffer heavy economic damages. In 2015, cattle lost an average of 40% of body weight and 48% of milk production, and at least 2,500 cattle died, according to the Ministry of Agriculture. ProEco Azuero's approach is unique in its ability to see and understand the interconnectedness of our ecosystem and work with every part of it for a better shared future. The combination of reforestation, conservation, community development, and education allow for the creation of new methods that weave our forest, communities, and wildlife together. Despite our methods being very community-based and probably considered low-scale, our approach to reforestation and conservation have been deeply researched with international institutions, and we use the latest GIS mapping technologies in collaboration with Esri Panama to ensure its efficiency and efficacy. In this way, technology and international collaboration become tools for local-centered actions and resilience building. This approach may sound simple, but it's more difficult to enact than it seems. We prioritize listening to the needs of the communities, working toward better land stewardship, environmental awareness, and organic youth and women-led approaches, and we always assume that what is truly best for the people of Azuero is not at odds with what is best for forest and wildlife of Azuero. This is our vision of change. It starts with research and strategic mapping, moving on to community outreach and education, which leads to restoration, monitoring, and evaluation. We have identified a biological corridor of 80 kilometers in length with an area of nearly 25,000 hectares. Every year, we try to reforest 20 to 50 hectares in order to gradually restore the critically important tropical dry forest ecosystem, reconnect the habitat of the endangered spider monkey, and encourage sustainable land use practices. We run an education program called the Spider Monkey School Initiative in 20 schools across 6 regions of Azuero. This curriculum teaches about the importance of the protection of the spider monkey habitat, the role of reforestation in improving water and soil quality, diversifying the production of rural farms, and climate change advocacy. This school initiative serves the purpose not only educating the younger generations of the future owners of these farmlands, but also fostering relationship between ProEco Azuero and the members of the communities interested in reforesting their land. We have created an environmental children's group called the ProEco Pelaos, which gathers young people from our local town to learn about their ecosystem, spend time in the outdoors, and contribute to local environmental initiatives. The ProEco Pelaos have now become the guardians of a local protected wildlife refuge. By giving them this role, we motivate and inspire them to become nature advocates. I think I missed one. No. Is there? Yeah, that's it. Thanks. In 2021, we started the Azuero Eco Youth Club. We identified a need to motivate the high school and university students of the region and to get them more involved in environmental issues. These students are trained in different science aspects with the help of experts in each matter, like forest, biodiversity, digital mapping, parcel monitoring with drones, climate change, among others. At the end of the courses, they graduate as environmental leaders of Azuero and become permanent volunteers and ambassadors of ProEco Azuero's green movement. We create opportunities for environmental education and sustainable income streams in rural areas to help local families move away from harmful agricultural practices. We formed a local women's group called the Eco Artisans of Azuero, who make crafts from natural sustainable fibers to sell. We have supported the creation of 10 regional environmental committees. It's our goal to listen to what the needs of our communities are, think deeply about ways to meet these needs sustainable in a way that benefit local people, animals, forests, and then support them by giving them the necessary tools, skills, knowledge they need to create the systems that they will eventually take ownership of, and that will increase the resilience of the region as a whole. In our pursuit of this goal, we prioritize multi-generational thinking, local organizing and collaboration, and the livelihoods of local people, especially women and girls. In communities with environmental committees, we're collaborating with their members to provide training on climate resilience, organic and regenerative agriculture, as well as offer members micro-contracts to cultivate saplings that will be sold back to ProEco Azuero to be planted during our reforestation season. This project provides education, economic opportunity, and conserves local habitat. ProEco Azuero supports a sustainable land management and habitat restoration through 3 in-house programs, our in situ tree nursery, where each year we grow thousands of approximately 75 different native and fruit tree species to plant in our June through August reforestation season. The micro-producers, rural residents to whom we give micro-contracts to produce saplings in home nurseries. And our seed bank. We have a seed collectors club. We collect seeds from local healthy trees and forests, teaching other community members and volunteers how to choose, collect the best ones, and even germinate them. It is important to acknowledge the fact that ProEco Azuero meets its goals with the help of many volunteers. Just last year, more than 700 volunteers contributed in our many projects. This also helps us to keep creating environmental conscience in the region. When I unmasked what has been the major achievement of ProEco Azuero, how many hectares have we managed to reforest in all these years, expecting me to answer thousands of hectares. The truth is not that much. Our funds are limited and our reforestation efforts very expensive. We're only able to reforest about 20% of the land of interested reforesters each year. But what we have really achieved in more than 12 years of working in the region is to slowly create environmental conscience, change the residents' mindsets, and start building climate resilient communities in an otherwise very vulnerable region. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra, for your presentation. And now we are going to continue with Rinchui. I don't know if she's here with us. Okay, great. She's representing the Rainforest Biodiversity of Phalee and the Phalee Biodiversity Management Committee from India. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Rinchui, joining from India. Thank you all very much for giving us this opportunity. We are glad to be here and happy to share our projects. So to start with, I'd like to give a brief background about the Rainforest Biodiversity of Phalee. This Rainforest Biodiversity of Phalee is a community-based organization launched in July 2019 in Phalee village, Ukhrul district, Manipur of Northeast India. The main objectives of Rainforest Biodiversity of Phalee includes documentation of flora and fauna, preservation of traditional biocultural practices and heritage, providing alternate and sustainable livelihoods, community education and empowerment. We have wide-ranging partners, including State Forest Department, Manipur, India, Phalee Village Authority, and international organizations like UNDP. About our operational area, in the first phase, Rainforest Biodiversity of Phalee is focusing in a small village called Phalee village. It is has a size of about 17 square kilometer, which is 1,700 hectares. The population in our village, has increased by 62% in the last decade. This Phalee is located in, as you can see in the map, it is located in between the border of India and Myanmar, and it is home to indigenous Tangkhul Naga tribe following customary administrative system. The inhabitants living on both sides of this border are indigenous community. Predominantly, their key livelihood sources are agriculture, animal husbandry, and collection of minor forest produce. This area that we are working is very remote, and predominantly it's predominantly a remote area with heavy rainfall in most of the years. Coming to challenges on forest and biodiversity, when we started on the project, we tried to understand the challenges. When we started the project, we looked at these challenges and we seek ways to address them. And as ISTF 2023 seeks to observe the interdependencies, we applied system thinking approach to understand the interconnectedness, to identify the interconnectedness of the challenges and its impact. If not addressed, this creates a feedback system which amplifies the impact of these challenges. So, for example, when we look at this screen, due to increase in population, it is directly impacting. It is directly giving a pressure on forest, and also since the traditional agriculture practices are non-remunerative, people started using more chemical fertilizers, and they have started introducing non-native crop, which is giving a negative impact on the forest and biodiversity through soil pollution and introduction of non-native crops. That is loss of traditional crops. When we try to understand the impact, we realize that a significant evident change has been there in the tree cover loss. In the past 2 decades, 159.6 hectares, that is 12% of the forest cover has been lost, But when we try to understand the impact of challenges on biodiversity, we are not able to do so due to lack of documented information and knowledge base about forest and biodiversity. So in the first phase of our project, we try to focus on documenting of flora and fauna and the traditional biocultural practices of our place. So documentation helps us in identifying valuable information of flora and fauna. It helps us in monitoring, identifying, sharing, and assessing of adaptation. And it also helped us to connect with different stakeholders to maintain our work for sustainable community development. As an indigenous knowledge are usually passed down from one generation to another by verbal communication, there is lack of proper biodiversity documentation, and also there is non-uniformity of knowledge sharing. So the need of the hour is to document local biological resources and diversity, conserve local biodiversity and biocultural practices. We apply 3-pronged strategies to tackle these challenges. Documentation of flora and fauna is a challenge, is a key challenge which is seldom talked about, but which in turn make it difficult for us to measure the impact. So our key project is documentation of local flora and fauna. We have, in the documentation, we have created a People's Biodiversity Register in a microsite within India Biodiversity Portal. We are documenting traditional nature-based agricultural practices and indigenous crops. We have prepared seasonal calendars of 47 indigenous crops, and we are documenting traditional healers and weavers. On the community engagement front, we are conducting awareness generation programs and workshops. We have organized citizen science projects for students, and we are currently the knowledge and technical partner for setting up nutritional kitchen garden in the village. On the conservation fronts, we have done several activities like conservation of indigenous herbs and medicinal plants. We are collecting in these seeds of indigenous crops, and we are raising and distributing under threat indigenous fruit trees. We have established and are maintaining a mini orchidarium as well. So one thing I would like to highlight is that Rainforest Biodiversity of Phalee is one of the grantee of United Nations Development UNDP's Notice Initiative for Biological Conservation. Under this, we are undertaking a project, Conservation and Sustainable Utilization of Indigenous Herbs and Medicinal Plants. We engage students in our project activities as they are the future guardians of environment and biodiversity. So far, we have conducted citizen science project for 200 students from 3 schools in our village. These activities were highly appreciated by the village councils and the parents of the students. We are also promoting and encouraging integrated snail, fish, and wet-bedding farming to augment their income. And also we are promoting integrated kitchen gardening for food security and community livelihood. Along with that, we are also promoting domestication and rearing of hornet, which is a unique potential cultural practices, and we are documenting handicraft and artisanship as well. We have made a significant achievement in terms of documentation of flora and fauna. So far, we have made 3,515 observations. Out of that, 150 plants are traditionally used medicinal plants, which we have identified and which we are conserving under the UNDP project. 10 species are potential native wild fruits, and at least 10 rare endemic orchid species are also recorded. So there's 14 indigenous potential native crops we have documented, cataloged, and we have prepared 5,000 nurseries of this indigenous fruit trees and distributed among the farmers of the village. We have also set up a mini orchidarium. In this mini orchidarium, we have about 100 species of orchids conserved ex situ, and some of the rare species conserved are birded orchid, lady sleeper, red vanda, phalaenopsis, and critically endangered species, blue vanda. Going forward, we have well thought out plan which we want to take up in the future. That includes establishment of seed bank and nursery center. We have started collecting indigenous seeds of indigenous crops seeds. So we would be establishing a seed bank and nursery center for indigenous crops, and we will be expanding the mini orchidarium projects to other locations, and we will also be publishing the documentations and cataloging in the form of usable books. And we also aim to make Rainforest Biodiversity of Phalee the knowledge center for environment and biodiversity. As I conclude my presentation, I would like to thank the ISTF team for giving us this opportunity to talk about our work and also about the challenges the indigenous land and communities are facing today. Indigenous communities are the key to fighting climate change and biodiversity loss, and we, Rainforest Biodiversity, are doing the things which needs to be done at the village level to fight climate change and biodiversity loss. Sharing our knowledge, sharing the knowledge like ours indigenous knowledge like ours at a platform such as this will increase the awareness and will increase the awareness and may likely help others to replicate in other communities. With this, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you all so very much for your time.
Thank you all for the presentation, and now we are open for questions. I don't know, anyone wants to ask someone? I will invite Sandra to come with me. Okay, I will ask you, both Sandra and Rinchui, if you encounter some difficulties when trying to connect the use of technology. Both of you are using technology for documentation of flora and fauna. So I was wondering, how was the process of adapting the use of technology, especially with traditional knowledge?
Mostly we are using technology for documentation of the flora and fauna. Very interestingly, when we started the project, we have volunteers, we have people from the community who are who actively participated in the project. When they go to the field, when they go to the forest, they take a picture and they share it with us, and we upload it in our microsite, and that's how we are documenting and identifying. So we are taking advantage of the technology that is available to us in conserving, in documenting our biodiversity. Now that we are documenting the biodiversity, we are able to identify the biodiversities that we have in the village. We are able to extract information, valuable information about that, and whenever necessary, like in the medicinal plants, we have identified 150 medicinal plants. That is like we are connecting with the traditional knowledge. Like our in the older generations, the plants that they use for medicinal purposes. That's how we identify those medicinal plants for medicinal purposes, and that's how we are conserving and preserving. So in a way, we are taking advantage of technology in documenting our flora and fauna, and I think which in itself is an innovation. Simple yet impactful innovation, I'll say.
Thank you. I don't know, Sandra, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah. For us, it's just because we're reforesting strategically that we wanted to monitor and have a really robust system. So our monitoring efforts are actually, they take a lot of time and they take a lot of technology, but we give each tree planted like an ID. We go out there, we take a picture of it, we measure its height, we measure if it's like a healthy tree. If it's not, we replant it the next reforestation season. And all of this, we do it just to secure the forest of the future, just to guarantee that that tree is going to be there and it's going to grow for 5 years.
Thank you. Do we have any other question? Yes.
Hi, thank you so much for your amazing presentations. I was wondering if you have a plan for what you would do if you win the Innovation Prize, if you have an area where that funding would be additionally very helpful.
Sandra, whoever wants to.
Okay, can I take the question? Thank you very much for the question. Actually, from the starting, our project was funded by our well-wishers. Actually, we don't have a funder. It was all from crowdfunding from the well-wishers. And recently, we have received an INR, Indian rupee of rupees 20 lakh for the conservation and preservation of the medicinal plants. And as we plan to expand our mini orchidarium in other areas, if we win this prize, we definitely will put into that, and we also need money for setting up the seed bank and nursery center for our indigenous crops. Yeah, thank you.
And for us, I don't know, can you hear?
Okay.
Yeah. For us, actually, every funding means air, just to keep working on all our projects. If we win the prize, definitely it would be for our reforestation efforts this year, because we don't have any funding for the reforestation efforts for this year. So it would go to reforestation.
Thank you for the question. Any other, please?
Yes, thank you. This is a question for Sandra. You mentioned multi-generational thinking, and I like this concept. And can you elaborate on that a little bit? How do you go about achieving that? I've heard of multi-generational discussions, multi-generational communication, but thinking is a different level. And so please tell us more.
Sorry, just to clarify, will be about to tell more details about the monkey, the project, the spider monkey project. That would be. I know if can I ask you to clarify a little bit the question? Sorry.
Yes. Well, the question is, how are you achieving multi-generations to care about, what you're trying to achieve, and to think together for solutions and how to work together.
So how you work with future generations, thinking about future generations?
No. Yeah. So we work with all sorts. We have the environmental education for adults. We have the environmental education for children, for young children. And then the last project that we implemented was the Azuero Equal Youth Club, just because we saw that there was a generation gap, actually, to motivate high school students and university students. Because every time we started like an environmental committee in one of the communities, it's always the older generation, and they were part of it. And one of the things that they always say is that we can't keep these young people motivated. How can we do that? So that's why we did like an open call for all the university students and high school students. And we told them, listen, we're going to train you, and you're going to become environmental leaders, like certified environmental leaders. And we train them in all different aspects. I think we have two graduating classes now, the 2021 and the 2022. And we gave them classes for 2 months, every day for 2 hours. So it was very, very strong, like workshops for them. At the end of the course, we gave them like a project that they had to develop out in the field, and they did. But we started out, when they started, it was for the first class, we had 85 students that wanted to become environmental leaders. At the end, only 23 graduated. The second year, last year, we graduated, I think it was like 32. But we keep them, and they are now the ambassadors of us, and we give them that role, like, you need to represent ProEco Azuero, bring more kids with you, do volunteer work with us, we're always trying to, but it's hard to motivate. That age group is really hard to keep them like constant and going there, yeah.
Thank you for the question. I think we have another one here.
Good morning to both of you. Congratulations for very beautiful, awesome presentation. I'm Geraldo Fernandez from the Philippines. My question is, of course, in implementation conservation projects, there are challenges, especially in the infancy stage. So my question is, for both of you, what is the most difficult challenge or challenges that you met on the implementation of your projects, especially in the infancy stage, and how did you overcome such challenges? Thank you.
For us, actually, it's just changing the people's mindsets. You know, we are, like I said, we live in cowboy land, and most of the work of ProEco Azuero, I think it has been like a missionary work, you know, going door to door and talking to people and changing their mindsets and letting them know that there are other viable ways of doing things, a little bit more sustainable. It's not like saying you're doing it wrong, because these are people that not for their fault of their own, have been doing this for decades and decades. And it's just letting them know that they are a valuable part of our economy, a valuable part of our society and our communities. But there are different ways to manage your land that can bring you other sorts of opportunities. And that's the thing. If we had like alternative sources of income, our job would be super easy. It would be go out there and offer them other sorts of income, but that's not our work. We try to really make them understand that if they manage their land in a sustainable way, they're going to have Azuero land for a long term, you know? And I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we have.
Rinchui, you would like to answer?
Our organization, Rainforest Biodiversity of Phalee, was launched in 2019. So it's just recently, and right after the launch, the pandemic thing came. So in the beginning, we had the greatest challenge that we faced was making the local understand. Making the local understand, like Sandra mentioned, like changing their perspective, their understanding. So we put much of our effort in making them understand about the biodiversity loss that is happening. There is an increased pressure. There is an increasing pressure on land because of the increasing population, and so people also, this indigenous communities' livelihood are also mainstreaming. So people started introducing non-native cash crops, and it was the biggest challenge. And we are not saying that we have overcome that challenge. Still, we are not trying to overcome that challenge. Yeah, it's still ongoing. So making them understand that our biodiversity are losing is a challenge, and since they were dependent on forests for their livelihoods, for minor produce also, and for hunting and for fishing, and since most of the land are community land, it was difficult to stop them from hunting. It was difficult to stop them from fishing. So all these were challenges, and now we are slowly but steadily changing the mindset of the people. And one good thing is, since the village authority are collaborating with us, we are making a significant improvement in those areas. But yeah, in the initial stage, that was one thing, changing the mindset of the people. And second is, we need more volunteers for undertaking such kind of awareness generation program. And yeah, funding was also a very big issue for us in the nascent stage. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Do we have another one?
Thank you.
We can try with the other one.
One second.
Yes, yeah, no problem.
Hello. Oh, there you go. Thank you both for the amazing presentation. My name is Jaime. I'm originally from Colombia. And my question is for Bonet. As you mentioned, you work with indigenous groups in Phalee, and I'm really interested in this conservation work with indigenous groups. My question is mainly, how is this collaboration with indigenous group work? How do they think on the science aspect and conservation per se? I know for indigenous group this concept is different, or sometimes they don't they don't think as a conservation as a concept per se. They just do it. It's their way of living. So if you can elaborate a little bit on how the relationship with indigenous group when it comes to conservation is.
So far, we have not collaborated with UNESCO. If I get the question right, you're asking about the collaboration with the UNESCO.
With indigenous people.
Yes, yes. With indigenous people, you said you work with communities, and the communities are indigenous people. So I'm just. My question is, how is this collaboration? How do they, how do you work together with them? How do they understand these science concepts?
With indigenous people.
Yes, yes.
Yes, thank you for the question. I myself am a indigenous. I'm from the indigenous community. I'm from that village itself. So people like us, like few of us, the fortunate lots who go out to get education, we go back to the village, and since we are from that same place, the acceptance, the acceptance is very high there, because I'm from that place. I know the place, I know the people, I know the way of life that was before, and I know the transition that is coming. So it was not very difficult for us to connect with them, to work with them. And the principal officers that we have in our Rainforest Biodiversity, we are all from that indigenous community itself.
Thank you. Do we have another question? Okay, I think then we can thank our participants here. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, Rinchui, for sharing your work with us. Thank you for everyone for coming here. So now we'll open the voting. So anyone, we're going to share in a second a QR code, so anyone can scan it and cast your vote. Remember, it's going to be open till tomorrow noon, and we're going to announce the winner in the closing plenary tomorrow at 2 p.m.
Thank you very much.
So we invite you to continue joining the conference. The next panel will be 12:30. Yes. Will be the panel 2, forest-dependent livelihoods, climate change impacts, and adaptation. Thank you and have a great day.